Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier. And we also have Heather Belcito, broker and also trainer for the Golfi team.
Hello.
Hello. Oh my God, Rob, so great to see you. And Heather, you are a mainstay of this show. So now it is a 3-person show officially.
Apparently, yes.
Oh, it's great to talk to both of you because we're getting into fall now. Like the trees are changing. The weather is definitely cooler. I see Rob's got his very cool jacket on. So he's ready for the crisp fall air. Does this mean like real estate is starting to heat up? Think people are thinking about that? Like what is happening out there?
Well, the real estate is not really heating up.
No.
It's not. It's heated up for the buyers. And so if you're buying out there, I mean, I'm going to go through some other stuff, but I want to talk about what's happening. There's a lot of deals out there right now. So I checked in 3 different areas in Niagara and also Hamilton, homes that sold in the last 60 days under $350,000. So
unbelievable, Rob. Under $350,000 in 2025. Let's just pause on that.
Yeah. There's opportunity out there, and there's a way of doing it, because you know what, anything under 350 may need some work, just a little bit of work. But there's some good stuff out there. So in St. Catharines, there were 6 homes that sold under 350. We got here 299.9, 314, 324.9, 349.9, 349.9, and 350. So these homes have great potential, and I'm going to go through that slowly. That's in St. Catharines. There were 6. In Niagara Falls, there were 4 homes, and I know it's getting tighter and tighter. So opportunities out there right now. So Niagara Falls, there were 4 homes. So one for $279.98. Another one for $299.9, another one for $339, and another one for $349. So 4 homes in Niagara Falls sold for under $350,000. Now, Welland, there were 6, and they all ranged between $250 right up to $350,000. 6 homes, and then we got Hamilton. There was 10. It's funny how there's more in Hamilton, bigger city. You think there'd be a lot less, but there's more homes there. And again, it ranges from $230,000 right up to $350,000. So there's good opportunities there. So now the one thing I want to talk about, so I did a little schedule, and the schedule is, let me get to one other thing. So now in Hamilton right now, actually, let me go to Niagara. In Hamilton, there are 11 homes under $350,000 for sale in the Hamilton and surrounding area. In Niagara, there are 36 homes for sale, and this is excluding condos. I'm not talking about condos. This is excluding condos. So Niagara, there's 36 homes. You can go to every one of them. And I'm telling you, there's a diamond in the rough in those homes. You'll be able to find something. So the opportunities are there, and this is the time to do it. But I wanted to talk about is if you're a first-time buyer. So, okay, let's say you're a first-time buyer, right? And you're allowed 5% down. So you're purchasing for $350,000. Your down payment is 5%, which works out to $17,500. Okay. So now your mortgage is going to be around $332,000. Now, if you're a first-time buyer, I don't think there's no land transfer tax at that price point.
At that price, it should all be rebated.
Yeah, it's 100% rebated. Now, your legal bill, it's not $2,000, but I put $2,000
just in case.
I'm just trying to be realistic here. So now your mortgage payment is going to be around $1,750 a month. Taxes $200. Insurance another $100. Is that about right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Heather?
Yeah.
Am I being realistic
You're right.
there? Okay. So your cost to run that house without utilities, without your Wi-Fi and everything is about $2,050. You own a house, you own a piece of property, and I do think your rent would be higher than that. Maybe a couple $100, like on a
think
small
so.
house like that. Maybe about, you know.
And you're paying your own mortgage off instead of paying the landlord's mortgage.
And-
This is amazing.
Yes.
This is a great deal for
Yeah.
a first-time buyer.
Yeah. And your price will
Price appreciates.
Well,
Yeah.
and right now we're in kind of a standstill type of market. So that'll get $350,000 house, first time buyer. Your monthly payments are going to be probably around $2,050. Okay, so you know if you had the rent, you have to pay for your own heat and hydro. You have to pay for your Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi and
What else is there? That's
it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And your water bill. Okay, so now that is what a first-time buyer. Now, if you're an investor, you have to put 20% down.
Yes.
Okay, so purchase price $350, down payment is $70,000. Okay, so that means you're going to have approximately about a $280,000 mortgage. So, but you do have to pay land transfer tax, and that works out to $3,700. Now, your legal bill's $2,000, just like I did. Okay, so now your mortgage payment is around $1,473 as an investor. Okay, your taxes are $200 a month. Your insurance is about $100 a month. Okay, and so your monthly cost to run that house is about $1,773.
And you could rent it for over $2,000.
You can probably rent it for $2,200. Now here's the other thing. Now, if you're a first-time investor or even first-time buyer or an investor, you can do the Mortgage Home Improvement Program. Now,
Okay, tell us about this. What is that?
So basically, a mortgage home improvement program, often called as the Purchase Plus Improvement Program, allows you to borrow money for renovations and include the cost in your primary mortgage. This is an option for buyers who want to update the property immediately after purchasing it, even if they don't have the cash up front. The renovation costs are rolled into the mortgage, and then the loan is based on the as improved value value of the home, not just the purchase price. Now, how it works is you can finance the cost of the renovations directly through your mortgage, allowing you to start work as soon as you take possession. This is easy. It's not like money after, like you move in, then you got to do everything. The pre-approval requirements. You will need to provide a detailed quote and renovation plan for the lender to approve the funding. It takes a little more time to do this, and I know mortgage brokers don't like it because it's a lot more paperwork. But
Oh, well.
hey, listen, you need to get ahead. You got to do this. Now, an appraisal will be required to confirm the as-improved value of the home. Okay, so let's give an example. You buy the property for $500,000. You do renovation costs for $50,000. So as improved value should be $550,000. So the Mortgage Home Improvement Program. So I worked this out. So for every $10,000 you add to your mortgage, it's $53 a month. That's based at 4% if you're doing variable.
Variable.
If you're doing variable. So I know a lot of guys that have done this. I know a lot of investors that have done this. They actually redid the kitchen, windows, even shingles, and had the place appraised. The mortgage was all done, and they rented the house out, and they were all good. They got an updated house. They ended up renting it. They got great money for it, and it's all good. So
So a first-time buyer who wanted to do this could buy a house
Yeah.
that needs work, which is probably what we're going to find at that price point. A lot of them will need some work,
Yeah.
and they can have that built into their financing.
And then, you know what? You just got to make sure you get a home inspection done because you want to make sure the structure of the house is good, right? Some of these houses probably don't have basements, which is fine. Hey, listen, it's a piece of property. You fix it up. You sell it in 10 years. You've built some equity. Chances are the house, like if you buy a $350,000 house now, which is almost it's hard to find.
Yeah.
In 10 years from now, these houses are going to be worth probably 600 or more, 600,000 to 700,000. So you built equity, and then you start moving into other houses, and then you're in the game. You're
You're in it.
in.
They just need to find this down payment of $17,500.
Yeah.
And that's from mom and dad a lot of times.
Yeah. So it can be done. Like you can buy a house. You can buy a house that's cheaper than what you would probably rent for. And like right now, a townhouse, a fairly new townhouse that's probably about 1,600 square feet, 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, you know, fairly new. Everything's all like the new flashy stuff. You probably have to rent it for about 20, depending where, 2,500 to 3,000, depending how big and depending. Yes, it is newer. Yes, the kids are gonna love it. But you know what? I grew up in a 1,200 square foot bungalow. There was 4 of us, 3 bedrooms.
How many bathrooms? Just one?
Well, there was one. Then we ended up putting one later in the basement. We had a finished basement after. We finished a rec room and a kitchen downstairs. We're Italian. Every Italian has a finished basement. 2 kitchens.
Yeah, I gotta have that extra oven right there.
Yeah. We got 2 kitchens and 3 stoves. Remember, there's another stove in the laundry room just in case.
Just
right?
in case.
You never know.
So, but yes, the opportunity is there, and I know that sometimes people don't know this, and the Purchase Plus program, people don't know about.
No.
Nobody talks about it.
No, I'd never heard of it, and we've been doing this show for such a long time now.
Yeah.
So this is so much value. I want to get you guys' opinions on what to prioritize, because when you're talking about these houses, like you said, rightfully, Heather, that you're probably going to have to do some upgrades, or you'll want to anyway, right? Like a lot of these people are still living with mom and dad, and they've been, come to expect a certain level of luxury. What priorities, right? Like Rob's given us a good number in terms of, okay, if you spend this much, it's $53 more a month, so they can really figure out how much more they can afford to spend when it comes to adding to that mortgage. What's the priorities in terms of what should you renovate? What can you kind of learn to live with?
In my opinion, after safety and structure would be kitchen and bathrooms, because that's where you're going to get the value. And you would be amazed what you can do with a great paint, change the handles, and pay someone to come in and put in a stone countertop. And that would be a couple $1,000s, and you've got a gorgeous kitchen.
Yeah, and a small house like that, even shingles. So you want to make sure you don't have to worry about shingles. The key thing is you want this house not to have a big expense in the next 5 years. So shingles are a pretty big expense. So a lot of people will finance the shingles because they can't afford to put $10,000 or $5,000 on the shingles. Yeah. It's tough, and you're financing this at 4% or 4.5%.
At a mortgage rate instead of your Visa or a credit line,
or getting financing from the finance company that finances people to help the shingles and everything. Shingles, windows, kitchen and baths. There you go, and flooring, and then you're all good. So, but out of those 4 or 5 things, at least 1 or 2 are in good shape, right? And you do a home inspection, you get that done structurally if it's good, and sometimes it's hard to get the appraisal done if there is some structural issues, because if you're going to put $10,000 in a structural issue, nobody goes into your house and say, "Hey, you got a beautiful structural home." Like, you know what I mean? Nobody does that. People look at the kitchen and bath. Say, "Hey, I love your bathroom. I love the spray wash. I love the whatever all you have there."
There's certain homes in St. Catharines and areas in St. Catharines and Hamilton where when you're showing, we would bring a water bottle and then we could roll it across the floor, and then we could tell if the floor was shifting.
Yeah.
It's in our toolkit.
Yeah. You bring a ball, even a ball. You bring a ball, and you just leave the ball there. And if it's rolling down, I've been in houses where there's such a heavy slope.
You get vertigo.
Yeah, like it's pretty bad. But the mortgage home improvement program, with purchasing something under $350,000, or even under $400,000, whatever price point you can afford, with what you get pre-approved at, you will win. And I'm telling you, timing now, like I don't know how long this flat market that we're going to be in for, but I do know that if you buy something, like people that when they're renting, they're spending $2,500 a month rent, let's say. So what's that work out to? $30,000 a year.
Yeah,
that's
paying someone else's mortgage.
So just think of putting $30,000 a year for the next 10 years. That's $300,000. Can you imagine you put that in your own house? That's $30,000. That's $2,500 a month.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So I'm just trying to help people. And there's ways to get that down payment, that 5% down payment. And even if you owned a house before and you don't own one now, there's ways to get that 5% down. There is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's talk about that for sure here on the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier. Rob Golfi is with us today, and Heather Bilsito, broker and trainer for the Golfi team. Stick around. We'll be back with Heather and Rob here on 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.
Are you worried about selling your home on time and for the most money? Hi, I'm Rob Golfi. Every year we invest millions of dollars in our advanced marketing system, ensuring your home is seen by tens of thousands of potential buyers. We don't just hope it sells, we make it sell.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier. Rob Golfi is with us today, and special guest Heather Bilcito, broker and trainer for the Golfi team. All right, just before the break, guys, we were talking about the great deals out there. I'm still flabbergasted that there are so many homes under $350,000 that we can get here in Niagara and Hamilton. Wherever we're looking, the Golfi team can help us out with that. And Rob, you were just walking through the mortgage home improvement program, how people can put those home improvements right on their mortgages. You were also kind of alluding to some thoughts and tips and tricks on getting that 5% down payment. What do you have for us when it comes to helping out with that?
So you can actually borrow the down payment against your RSPs if you have it,
Yes.
or your tax-free savings.
TFSA, yeah.
But there's other creative ways. Like sometimes you can go to the bank, and if you qualify, you may be able to borrow the down payment. It just depends, how creative you are and who you bank with and everything else like that. If you got a great credit rating, it's just sometimes, owning a house is like a forced savings.
It is.
You know what I mean? So when you have when you have a house, you're kind of forced to save to pay for your mortgage and pay for everything. And all of a sudden, 10 years later, you're like, wow, oh my God, like I have this. Now, but if you're just kind of always putting money, paying the rent and then paying for your car and paying for everything else, and then at the end of it, you have nothing. You basically, there was no forced savings in anything. You just forced to help somebody else become wealthy, real estate wealthy. People say, most business people say, if they only had $1 million, they lost everything, but they got $1 million. What would the one thing they would do to get back on track? And they would say, buy real estate, because that's the solid foundation to build wealth. It's always real estate, whether it's personally or you want to do as an investor and do that way. Real estate is always the way, no matter what the economic time is. I know more people have become wealthy over real estate than any other type of business or risk. So yes, right now there's people trying to sell their houses and they're not getting what they want. And This is the correction market that we're in. And we had such a crazy market in 2021 and part of 2022, and it's slowly correcting itself. And the buyers are kind of sitting and waiting and watching what's happening. But I'm buying real estate now. I'm still buying real estate because I know the opportunities there. Because I know in 10 years they're going to be worth a lot more. So whether if it drops another point or two in the next 6 months, I don't care, because I know it's going to go up quite a bit in the next 10 years.
Yeah, so the little bits here and there, that point or two here and there, that doesn't make a big difference over the long haul. So don't pay attention to it. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So, Heather here, she's, financially, I think she's like, sometimes she talks about the real estate that she has. I go, holy smokes, this girl's got a lot of real estate. Her and her husband. This girl's got a lot of real estate. I'm going, I don't know. She's probably one of these super rich people that, but she owns a fair amount of real estate. She's done well over the years in real estate, and she's gonna, she'll have a comfortable life, more than comfortable than anybody, just average person that didn't take the risk in buying real estate.
And one of the things that we did was we built 2 buildings in Mississauga, and this was something that my father-in-law wanted to do. It was his dream, and it took a long time to fill them up, and that was in 2007. And the fill-up period was probably a year for 12 units. And that's what our developers are experiencing right now in Toronto. There's 19 purpose-built rentals, and some are taking 3 years to fill.
Yeah.
And they're really, they're struggling, and rents, they're looking at these high rents, and they need to be realistic and lower them or offer some incentives to the tenants.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get into that a little bit. What is a purpose-built rental when you talk about that?
So you're building for rental only. So a lot of times investors will purchase condo apartments, and then they'll rent them out. So a mom and pop, will buy one. But some people and companies will say, no, I'm going to build this particular building, and it's going to be for rentals only. Financing is very complicated. You can still get CMHC financing for these, just to keep your interest rate lower. But there's so many more approvals. But it's a great strategy, especially if you've built it yourself and then you know it was built well, and you just keep maintaining it. But you need it to be full, because you've got these huge loans that you've got to pay, and that's what 19 buildings are struggling, waiting for tenants.
Yeah, and what it is there's a couple things. Is the owners of these purpose-built, let's say apartment buildings that they're building, they're trying to get these high rents to make these building values higher.
Yes.
So when they refinance it, or when they want to unload it maybe to a capital or a REIT, meaning real estate investment trust or whatever, companies that want to buy it, part of the portfolio, they want to get as maximum dollars as much as possible. So, but the problem is the market's not it's not accepting the rents that they're asking. So that's why they're hanging on. They're losing money every month, and it's gonna hurt their pocketbook.
It is.
And that's why
aren't they just lowering the rents, like Heather said?
Because they're going to lower the value of the property. That's
because
why.
It's all tied to return on investment. So you look at your total income coming in, subtract your expenses, and then that net return is applied against the value, and that could decrease the value. So you're not able to borrow as much.
So what happened was the last of developers built apartment buildings was in the 70s, I think.
Yes.
Because that's when they introduced the rent control.
Yes.
So developers said, hey, you're bringing rent control. We're not interested. Goodbye. So they haven't built apartment buildings in probably 50 years.
Right.
50 years. So it caught up to us. So now the government says, okay, if you developers build these new buildings, right? And that started, I think, November of 2018.
Yes.
If you have anything brand new after November of 2018, there is no rent control. You can put the rent whatever you want. You can raise the rent if they live there for 1 year.
To an existing tenant, because if a tenant moves out, you can always raise the rent. But that tenant who's living there is guaranteed controlled rent.
Before
2018.
November 2018.
Yes.
But any building that was built after November 2018, no rent control. So let's say a landlord says, hey, I've got a rental here for $2,500 a month. And a year later, he says, I'm going to raise it to $2,800 a month, $300 more. He can do it without any recourse, because the government said, listen, we need to get housing going again. So anyway, they did. The problem is everybody took advantage of the grants and loans and everything else CMHC was offering. But the cost of building came up.
Yes.
So that hurt the developers. So now they're trying to get X amount of dollars for rent, and it's costing them money. But they know that if they accept a lower rent, that it's going to be hard to get it back up. They can get it back up, but then people are going to move. They're not going to move because these buildings are not under rent control. They're not.
And they're not offering them enough incentives, so that these tenants are looking for parking, and these developers aren't offering free parking. So it's the rent with parking on top. They're looking for storage, so they're not offering them storage. And they can do a 1 or 2 month rent abatement, which wouldn't affect their rent amount, but some of them aren't offering that. But I think they're saying in the article that I was reading that the tenants would prefer to have free parking and free storage. And I think developers should look into that.
And they're also these developers are also paying for your move. They need to get these buildings full with high rents so that they can refinance and get their money out of there and move on. But they're all struggling. So even these very wealthy developers and builders and contractors, they're suffering and struggling through this economic time, just like the little guys are.
Yes.
So, but they're just at a bigger level.
Wow. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. But I've heard that rents are slipping. Like, at what point do they say we got to bite the bullet and just fill this space?
Well, it depends how deep their pockets are, but
Yes.
it just depends how deep their pockets are. I know there's a few developers right in Hamilton. Leuna built one condo building and couldn't even get people to buy the condos. Now he's trying to rent it, and he's got half his building empty still, and he's got another one finishing up soon. He can't. They're converting it to rentals now instead of condo sales, and so I mean, Leona's got like billions, so they probably won't have any more constructions happening, more jobs happening, just until they get these two buildings rented out. And these are brand new. Like, we're talking high-end condos that are going to turn into a rental building. So whoever bought into these buildings at the beginning, and now they're going to be filled with rentals, they're not going to be too thrilled about it. And then plus, I mean, if Leona is going to be the landlord, they control the votes for the condominium corporation. So because they own they're going to own all the condos. So it is like this whole situation that we're in is definitely changed the dynamics of everything. Like, everybody thought, oh, we're great, we can build these apartment buildings, we don't have rent control. But guess what? There is kind of a rent control, because they're asking way too much money and the market's not paying for it.
And I think they were building a lot of these. I'm sure are probably one bedrooms. Who wants a one bedroom? They needed to build things that people wanted. Yeah.
And most people have two cars. Like, if you get a couple in there and you only got, like, I know there's buildings that they don't have enough parking. There's no parking. They have only made a part. I know the one building they did, if it's they were selling the condo building, they were selling, if it's 600,000 or more, there was a parking spot. If it's under 600, there isn't. So and there's 600 units in this building.
Someone who can afford a $600,000 unit
has a car.
Has at least one car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that's the reality of living in, like, even Toronto, there's much more transit than we have here in Niagara or the Hamilton, but everyone still needs a car. Unfortunately, the transit just isn't there yet. So we gotta get around that. Yeah. Let's talk about the prices, though. You've been talking about how people just aren't going to pay these rents. It's out of control. House prices are slipping. Forecast looking about, I guess, 3% in Toronto, 3% more of a slip by the end of this year. Are we looking to see the same thing here, Rob, in the Hamilton Niagara region?
Yes, in Niagara. So year over year, so far this year, we're down 2.17 in Niagara, from last year to this year. So who knows what the end of the year is going to end up? But I think it's going to be more than 2%. I think we're going to be the same 3% down. And then in Hamilton, it's at 2.72% down from last year so far this year, and we're down from even the previous year of 2023. And it seems like it's slipping, but it's slipping slowly, like small percentages, not dramatic numbers. And the buyers, I'll tell you, the sellers are feeling it out there. They are feeling it. It is tough to sell a house out there, and in this market, and it's hard. I get it. You know what? When you put a house up for sale, you're suggesting to a price to them, and they are like, "Whoa, man, that's not the price that we thought." And I'm going, "Look, if you follow my way of doing things, you will get your house sold, but it's not going to be the price that you think." I just went on one in St. Catharines where they were asking $1,050,000. So we came in. And I said, look, there's one almost identical to yours, and I think it had a finished basement, and they're at $950,000, and they've been sitting for over 30 days, not sold. I says, you're under that. You have an unfinished basement, similar house, similar square footage. And I said, I said 900, you are just cutting underneath what the market's probably willing to pay. If you go at 950, you're above the market, and you're going to have to do a reduction down the road. And so I said, you got to, go maybe 925, but 900 is the bang on number for that. And so they're thinking about it, and they're going, wow, this is like almost 150,000 less than what they thought their house was worth. But then looking at other sales in the area, it shows that house, the value is around 900 to 910.
Yeah. Wow. There is a lot to it. It's changing all the time. And that's why you need expertise, right? Like to be able to be navigated through. And that's exactly what the Golfi team has. Rob Golfi with us on the Golfi Real Estate Show. Special guest Heather Bolsito from the Golfi team also here. Lots more to talk about in the world of real estate. Stick around here on 610 CKTB, Niagara's News and Talk.
I know the importance of hiring the best agents.
I'll take a photo of your house and post it on the World Wide Web.
Next,
Our multi-million-dollar marketing system reaches tens of thousands of potential home buyers every day.
go to robgolfi.com and put the best team to work for you.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. This is Steph Vivier. With us today, Rob Golfi and special guest Heather Bolsito, broker and trainer for the Golfi team. Okay, we are talking about these $350,000 houses. Hard to imagine that you would regret buying one of those, but if you're a seller, you might have some regret on not taking the first offer. Rob, just before the break, you were telling us the story about, working with these potential sellers who had their heart set on a certain number. Tell us about this. Have you experienced these sellers who get an offer and say no, and then end up going, maybe that was the best we could have gotten?
Absolutely. It happens. Like, we sell a lot of homes and we experience it all the time. Some of our sellers will say, you know what, I think you're right about that. And some will say, nope, I'm going to wait. And we're with these sellers for about 6, 8, 9, 10 months. And they're going, we should have taken that offer.
3 weeks later, can you call that agent and see if they're willing to come back with that price? We'd look at that price now and they've already bought something else.
We look at, so what happens is, so we have the agent's name that showed our listing.
Yes.
So we keep track of the houses that sell in the immediate area. And then if we see that agent's name show up as the agent that brought the offer in on another house, then we go, well, look at this. They bought a house. It was similar to yours and it had more options, like, upgrades, and it sold for less than what you're asking. And now it's going to be even harder to sell their house. So, for instance, I was just talking about this one. There was one. I'm gonna say Claudel's. So, in the spring of this year, her house should have been listed at $850,000. But she waited till probably about a month and a half ago, and we said it should be at $800,000, and she goes, no, I want to go $850,000. I go, okay. So anyway, we listed at $850,000 for about a month. Nothing happened. We dropped it down to $800,000. And no. First, but we said, she goes, what should we drop it to? I go, well, even if we drop it for $800,000, you're not going to get anything. I go, your house should have been listed at $800,000, but the market's moved and changed.
You're chasing it down.
Yeah. So we dropped it to $800,000. We got 0 showings, even though we dropped it $50,000. And I said to her, what do you want to do? I said, you either have to stick it out and wait it out, or you're going to have to do another price drop. And I go, you got to be underneath the market by a 0.5 point to 1%.
Yes.
And then you'll sell it. But the market, like I said, the market's changing. There's going to be a 3% difference from the spring of this year till now. And
so if she takes market value now, she's still ahead.
Yes, yeah. And they're predicting that, we're going to be in a bit of a correction for a bit. So for the buyers out there, I'm telling you, they get pretty aggressive, and if you need to sell, you're going to have to either accept it or you're going to have to hold on to it. And financially, if you got some situations that are happening in your life, it could be very costly for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. And you're saying, like, that example you gave, Rob, like it changed that quickly, that, over a matter of weeks, she could have maybe gotten that 800 and then it didn't work.
We have a lot of people regret not taking an offer. We got one person, we're going November last year. We got an offer for $1.4 million on their house in Niagara Falls. And, we were asking, I think $1,750, which we didn't want to list it that much. And it was the client's offer. And guess what? We're at $1,450,000 and we got nothing happening today. Nothing.
I had one in Waterdown. It was about a year and a half ago, and we listed it at the perfect price, had 2 showings, got an offer. And the sellers were saying to me, but this is the first offer. And I said, this is a great offer. You have to take this offer. And they did, thankfully.
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah. If you can't convince them.
That makes me feel better. I sold a house a while ago, and this would be like 2018 or something, but they were supposed to be an open house. And on the Friday we got this offer, and it was, they didn't want to negotiate. It was only, I think, 800,000, or sorry, 8,000 less than 800,000, 8,000 less than we were asking. And we went for it, right? It was like, okay, this is an offer, easy peasy, get it done. But I've always wondered, I've always kind of thought, man, could we have got full asking?
Your realtor knows. Or they should know.
Yeah.
If they don't know, that's a problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because a couple weeks ago we talked about this introduction of the Golfi home warranty, and I've talked to like 20 people about it since, because it is such a unbelievable offer that you're doing. How's it going?
It's going great. Anybody that buys a house from us, okay, it doesn't have to be our listing. Your house will have a 1-year warranty. We send you a certificate indicating and a magnet with our phone number. You can put it in the fridge. If there's any issues with your appliances, sump pump, furnace, anything, you have a 1-year warranty on your house. And so this is nobody's doing this, and nobody's done this. And we want to let people know that they're covered under us. If they purchase a house. Again, it doesn't have to be our listing. So don't hesitate to reach out. We give out these pamphlets at all the open houses that we have, and any buyer that we pick up. And even if they don't know about it, they get a warranty.
Yes.
So sometimes they say, oh, wow, I get a warranty? Absolutely.
And they don't pay for the warranty.
No. I'm the one that pays for the warranty. Yeah. So I worked out a deal with a company, and every house that anybody purchases from us has a home warranty on it for a year.
It's unheard of, guys. It is unheard of. Just another reason to go with the Golfi real estate team. All right. So right now, we are in like a weird time for sports, right? We've got the baseball playoffs going on. Maple Leafs are starting their season again. Football season is on. That's my sport, paying attention to that. You got the CFL coming up. They'll be having their Grey Cup coming up next month. So, there's certain things. I know there's seasonality when it comes to your business. Does this time of year, did the playoffs affect real estate?
I think it affects a few people.
It affects the agent's activity.
Yeah.
I was working on a deal when the Jays were playing the Yankees the other night. And this agent was a little angry with me because I'm sitting beside my husband who's watching the game, and I'm not, but I'm, working on the deal. But then I realized it's the sport. So I mentioned to Rob, I wonder what these playoffs, what effect they have on the market. So I printed off the composite benchmark for all of the Niagara region, and I have the Raptors, and really it has no effect. They sort of ride up and ride down as the market goes, and the same with the Blue Jays. And the Maple Leafs, unfortunately, there's not that many data points because there's only 3 times that they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to have an effect. And I honestly thought it did, because I listed a home. Remember when we had the Olympics in Canada, the Winter Olympics? I listed a home on the day of the opening ceremonies. That was a mistake, because it was Canadian Olympics, and I think that might be the exception to this.
Yeah, but there is people that are watching, and they're watching the Blue Jays and realtors, and you're calling them, they're not returning phone calls. Or you got deadlines on a deal, they forget because they're so into the game.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of mistakes that are happening during playoffs, especially if it's the hockey.
Hockey, yes.
In our area, right? Like it's you got the Toronto Blue Jays in Ontario, and so same thing with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But not only you got people going to the game, then you got people watching the game on TV, and they're not paying attention to their business. And I'll tell you, as a realtor, I mean. And the funny thing is, when you sign up to be a realtor, some people forget that this job is all day and all night sometimes. Like, you may have to deal with somebody at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I look at my phone all the time, to see if there's anything important. If there's an offer coming in, I need to know and need to deal with that, and let either the agents of my team know or let the clients know that, hey, we have an offer, we got time, we can deal with it tomorrow. And it gives them a little bit of a chance to think about it overnight, what they want to plan to do the next day with the offer. And but sometimes realtors, they are not paying attention, or they don't want to deal with it. Their priority is watching that sports game, and it hurts whatever deal you're working on.
It does.
Yeah, it's just, But you might see me if I'm at a sports event, which. If I'm with my laptop there while watching the game, then I'm working on a deal.
You know it.
That's it.
That might be one of the questions when you're interviewing a realtor. You ask them about their sports, right? So if they're a Maple Leafs fan, as soon as playoffs start, it's safe to book them to do your thing because they're not going to be paying attention, right? There's nothing in the playoffs for them to watch.
Oh, yeah.
So that could be part of it. The interesting thought process, Heather, and that's why I can just tell you're such an asset to the Golfi team, because see that, Rob? She just has this idea, and then she's like, I'll just go pull all the data points, and she gets it all done. That's incredible. What are the things that you think culturally actually do affect the real estate market?
I think heavy bad weather does.
In the winter, like
yeah.
ice storms, a lot of snow.
Yeah.
June can be a really, really quiet month.
Elections.
And elections, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. June is teachers,
Yeah.
parents buying teacher gifts and winding down.
Mm-hmm. Like it's crazy. The what else is there? There's we had a great summer weather this year, so I think a little bit with that, but the market was not too bad this summer.
Right, it was.
But it just weather's a factor. The news, on the right now, we got a lot of stuff that's happening, with 2 wars plus the tariffs and all that kind of stuff, and with a new new prime minister. All little factors, and interest rates are low, but still people are holding off. They're holding off, and coming into this business as a realtor, the one thing is their expectations. I don't know. It's tougher to make it now than I think it was, 20 years ago and 30 years ago. I tell people on my team, I go, look, if you're becoming a realtor, it's just like becoming a doctor. Listen, when you become a doctor, you're on call all the time. Same thing as a realtor. If you can't handle being on call, then don't become a realtor. No. And that's what it is. And if somebody's calling me, and if I answer my phone, and if I don't answer it, I look at the message because maybe I was tied up or anything, and I'll return calls. I get people call me at 9:00 at night, and they're surprised that I return the phone call. Mm-hmm. And they go, "Oh, wow, I didn't expect a call from you till tomorrow." And I said, "No, you know what? I take care of my phone calls right away because I want to get them out of the way because I'm receiving phone calls all the time." Yeah. And if you create that habit, you will be successful in the business. But if you're, like I see people, their phone's ringing, they're looking at it, and I don't know what they're looking at. They see it ringing. Well, you can hear it ringing, and you can see it ringing, and they're like, oh, and they don't know who it is. I have to answer the calls because I will solve that problem immediately right there. Because if you don't answer it, that means you got to call back and everything.
And worry about it until you call back.
Yeah. And then, so I usually call back. If I don't answer it because I'm on the other line or an appointment, I usually return my phone calls right away. And hey, that's how I am. Maybe a lot of people aren't that way, but I do. But hey, that's the difference between success and just average.
Well, it's such an important thing that people might not remember to ask realtors about when they're interviewing them. But, when you're in that relationship, this person is your agent, they're representing your best interests. They better be available because you will find out how annoying it is when you can't get a hold of them.
Oh, yeah.
You want them, right?
Oh, for sure. There's a lady in Bowmanville. She has a realtor, and she's going crazy because her agent had her firm up on a deal that, she went in conditional on selling her house, but I don't know the whole story, but she was upset and she firmed up, but I don't think there was another offer on the other house. So, and I said to her, you know what? The best agents are the busiest agents. And
they don't need you to sell your home so they can make their next car payment.
Yes, that's why. And you got to be very, very careful on your realtor because is he thinking about himself? So that because everybody's on commission, right?
But the client's supposed to be number one.
Exactly. So the busier the agent, I think the better service and the better decisions advice he's going to give you versus somebody is not that busy. And it's something to think about when you're hiring a realtor. And it's very important because you want to make sure that they're working on your behalf and your best behalf.
It's so important. One of the biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life. Always a wealth of knowledge and information into the world of real estate. Appreciate the time. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you very much, also.
Absolutely. And thank you, Heather. Always a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. Thank you.
Heather Wilsita with the Golfi team, Rob Golfi with the Golfi team. Give them a call, 905-641-0308. Check out robgolfi.com. Hey, who else gives you a home warranty when you buy or sell with the Golfi team? Check that out. It is really one of a kind. This is 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.